Hello everyone, my name is Holly and welcome back to your monthly dose of brand new book releases. October is shaping up to be an absolutely stacked month for exciting books and I am so pumped about it. It's finally fall, weather is getting a little cooler. Okay, that's a lie. It's hitting mid-80s still and I am not happy about that, but October is giving us a lot of dark fantasy, gothic mystery, and some very highly anticipated sequels. And they're all hitting shelves soon, and today I'm walking you through the October releases that I am the most excited about. So we're going to be starting on October 7th, which is basically a mini publishing holiday. Let's dive in. So first up, we have Queen Demon by Martha Wells. If that author's name alone already has you buzzing, you're not alone. Martha Wells is the mind behind the hugely popular Murderbot Diaries, which is also a TV show now, and this is her return to big epic fantasy. Queen Demon is set in a dark demon-infested world where politics and sorcery collide. It follows a reluctant queen who's forced to strike an uneasy alliance with the very demons that destroyed her family in order to save her kingdom. You already know Wells is going to bring her signature wit and layered character work, so I'm expecting a fantasy that's sharp, very character driven, and maybe just a little bit ruthless. I feel like this is going to dominate fantasy conversations this fall. The Finest Edge of Twilight. So anytime you see R.A. Salvatore's name, you know you're getting pure classic fantasy. He's the guy behind the Drizzt series, incredibly popular, incredibly famous, basically like the poster child for dark elves. So this book continues that long-running legacy within the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Definitely expect big action scenes, monsters galore, and characters grappling with loyalty, morality, and probably at least one absurdly cool sword. If you've been craving old school fantasy storytelling with a modern polish, this one's going to hit the spot. And personally, as a huge R.A. Salvatore fan, I'm reading this one. Now on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, we have The Omen Girl. This one is part horror, part folklore, and part tragedy. It's about a girl who can predict disasters, whether that's plagues, storms, or someone's untimely death. So of course, everyone around her sees her as this cursed omen, and things spiral from there, of course. I love stories that blur the line between superstition and reality, and this one feels like it's going to be chilling in that slow burn, creeping dread kind of way, and it's perfect for spooky season reading. Next, we've got Cinder House by Freya Marske. If you've read Our Marvelous Light and the rest of the Last Binding trilogy, then you know Marske is incredible at weaving together magic, romance, and historical settings. Cinder House takes us into a gothic estate filled with secrets, magic gone wrong, and maybe a touch of romance simmering under all the tension. I'm getting total crumbling mansion candlelit corridor vibes with this one, especially with that cover. I love this cover personally, and I think if you love atmospheric fantasy with lush prose and kind of messy yearning characters, this is one to have on your radar for October. Next, we've got All of Us Murderers. This is the one that's giving me cozy gothic murder mystery energy, and I cannot wait. So Charles, the author, is already known for fantastic historical romance and mysteries, and this book promises a locked house setup where everyone has secrets, and of course someone ends up dead. It sounds like part murder mystery, part biting social commentary, and part character-driven drama. It's perfect for October when you want something twisty and slightly spooky, but also witty and fun. Okay, switching gears again, we have maybe the funniest book title of the year, Colin Gets Promoted and Dooms the World. This is basically workplace satire meets apocalyptic fantasy. We have Colin, our very average office worker who gets a shiny new promotion, and then realizes his job description involves making decisions that could literally end civilization. No pressure, Colin. This sounds equal parts absurd, hilarious, and kind of depressingly relatable to anyone who's ever had a job where you think, wait, why do I have this much responsibility? If you like your fantasy with a strong dose of humor, this is one to keep on your radar. Okay, let's wrap up October 7th with one more release, and that is Crafting for Sinners. This one sounds delightfully unhinged, so imagine your sweet little crafting circle, people knitting, scrapbooking, maybe doing some crochet, except in this case, they're also summoning demons in their spare time. I mean, maybe that's what they do in real life too. I don't know, I don't crochet, or sew. It sounds very campy horror with a sharp edge, and honestly, I love that this is both cozy and terrifying. I can just imagine you get blood-stained embroidery, hoops, possessed yarn, and probably a lot of laughs mixed with the scares. This one feels like the perfect October mood book. Moving along to October 14th, we have The Bleeding Woods. This title alone screams creepy fairy tale to me. This one's a dark fantasy about a cursed forest that literally bleeds, and the people who get trapped within it. So expect like witches, probably bargains with the witches, and that like an ominous feel that the forest itself is alive and watching you probably. So I love a good haunted house story, and I can definitely go for like a haunted woods story as well. And this sounds like it's going to scratch that gothic fantasy itch in the best way. Kill the Beast. This one reimagines the Beauty and the Beast story, but throws us into a darker, more action-packed spin. So our heroine is less singing to woodland creatures and more like out here hunting monsters. It's got monster fighting, revenge, and a heroine who's done with waiting around to be rescued. It sounds really cool, and I think if you like fairy tale retellings but want them with teeth, like literally, this is going to be the one to check out. The Princess Knight. I don't know about you, but I'm in my Knightcore era once again. Knight books are back, and I talked about 10 of them in my previous video with my personal reviews for each, so that'll be linked for you down below if you want to check that out to get a little bit more detail. Here, a rebellious princess who's also a knight. It's got political drama in the court and some intense swordplay, both actiony and romantically. Basically, it's got the action of a classic fantasy mixed with the kind of protagonist who isn't waiting around to marry a prince. She's like ready to fight him herself if it comes down to that. So if you're into strong heroines with armor and attitude, this should be on your October TBR. The Works of Vermin. This is the same author who wrote Leech, one of the most bizarre, unsettling horror novels of the past few years. And this new one is keeping up with that same grotesque body horror vibe. It's all about infestation, decay, and the creatures that thrive in what we leave behind. The author writes horror that's like equal parts intellectual and like stomach churning. So if you like Leech, or you're into like that weird squirmy eco horror that gets like under your skin, then boom. Now for something completely different. The Keeper of Magical Things by Julie Leong. I read this author's previous book, so I wanted to mention this new release from them. This is a whimsical, heartwarming fantasy, and it's about a young heroine tasked with protecting a collection of enchanted objects. Think like a magical shop full of cursed trinkets, like glowing heirlooms and objects with minds of their own. It's middle grade leaning, I think, so it's perfect if you want like a cozy adventurous story with charm and wonder. I'm not saying it is middle grade, but it is like, it sounds like it's slightly leaning toward that genre, but I believe it is YA. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's focusing on charm and wonder instead of blood and terror. Basically, this is the October palette cleanser that we all need after like the creepy forest and body horror. I have one more important book on my list releasing on October 20th that I really wanted to throw in here, and that is The Scour by Richard Swan. This is a prequel novella set in his Empire of the Wolf universe. It takes place around 15 years before the events of the Justice of Kings. Now, it is being published through Grimdark Magazine, so the Kindle edition will be available to you on that day, and it's following our dearly beloved protagonist, Sir Vonvalt, as he investigates what the Scour is exactly. So obviously, if you are a fan of those books like me, then you have to add this one to your collection and to your TBR. I want to see you reading it. Alrighty, moving on to October 21st, which honestly feels like the power week of the month. We have some big names and some big ideas. For instance, King Sorrow by Joe Hill. So Joe Hill, aka Stephen King's son, is basically horror royalty at this point, pun intended, and this new one is about a cursed monarch whose grief literally manifests as monsters. Think like giant shadowy creatures born out of despair, creeping into the world and feeding off pain. It's like classic Joe Hill, emotional, terrifying, and just a little heartbreaking, but if you want your horror with some real gothic weight behind it, then this is definitely one to grab. The Last Reliquary. This one's giving me total like Indiana Jones meets fantasy. It's following a crew of adventurers, and they set out to recover a relic with dangerous, possibly world-ending powers, and of course, everyone has their own motives for wanting it. I totally expect treasure hunting, Probably a lot of booby traps and plenty of double crossing between all of these characters. It sounds like pure adventure fantasy drama, the kind of thing that you like tear through in one sitting because you just need to know who makes it out. I am really excited for this one as someone who loves reading about a crew of adventurers. This one was written for me. So this is definitely at the top of my TBR for October, in between all the spooky stuff. And then we have Slayers of Old by Jim C. Hines. So Hines always mixes humor with heart, and this one's no exception. It's about an aging team of monster hunters who have to dust off their weapons and get back into the game when something ancient and terrifying comes back to haunt them. Imagine if like Buffy's crew had to reunite for one last gig, complete with snark, nostalgia, and a few pulled muscles along the way. It's monster slaying fun, but with a wink. It's reminding me of Kings of the Wild, and that book had a lot of like old age puns. And I loved it. The Isle in the Silver Sea. So this is another book that I talked about in my previous video, so I'll keep this short. But you already know Suri delivers lush romantic fantasy with very devastating emotional stakes. This one's set on a mysterious island with ancient magic, and of course forbidden love and characters torn between duty and desire. Honestly, no one does sweeping dramatic fantasy quite like Tasha Suri, and we also have a new really interesting magic system as well. So pick this up if you've read her previous books and you want like a little bit of an upgrade. 'Cause I swear the more Tasha Suri writes, the better that her books become. Psychopomp and Circumstance. So if you've read from this author before, you know she specializes in Southern Gothic and weaving folklore into her stories. And this one is all about death guides, aka psychopomps, who help souls cross over. But of course, things don't go smoothly, and the story dives into grief, legacy, and the supernatural with Royce's like signature lyrical style. It's supposed to be eerie and very atmospheric, and it sounds like the perfect blend of spooky and soulful. And I am a huge fan of Southern Gothic horror, so another one that's probably going to be on the top of my list. Alrighty everyone, we have one last book on October 28th, The Everlasting. So Alex C. Haro, she's one of my favorite authors who just wrecks me in the best way possible every single time. Her writing is lush. It's very like fairy tale undertones, and she always puts her women characters through impossible choices. This one is all about immortality and the cost of clinging to it, so expect love, loss, Haru's signature like mix of magic and heartbreak. This is another book that I talked about in depth in my previous video, and it's absolutely unavoidable if you're into character-driven fantasy. I highly recommend this one. Alrighty everyone, that is going to be it for my October book releases. Let me know down below in the comments which October release that you're the most excited about and which one you're going to read first. Personally, I think I need to clone myself to keep up. If you liked this roundup, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you have not. I would really appreciate it, and ring the bell so you don't miss my November releases video. And until we meet again, happy reading.